Well, in the past year, we've seen high school students protesting issues like gun violence and climate change. Clearly, they have opinions. But should they have the right to act on them at the ballot box? The latest poll conducted by Western New England University's Polling Institute found, by a 2-to-1 margin, that adults are not in favor of 16 and 17-year-olds voting. Carrie Saldo learned more about the details of the poll from Tim Vercellotti, director of the Polling Institute.
The voting age has become timely again. As we all know, the 26th Amendment set the voting age nationally at 18 back in 1971. But at the national and at the state level, lawmakers have been looking at this issue once more and examining whether it makes sense to lower it once more to 16. In Washington, Ayanna Pressley, newly elected Congresswoman from Boston, introduced an amendment a few months ago to lower the national voting age to 16 for elections for president and Congress. It was an amendment to a package of electoral reforms. It did not pass.
Died in the House.
It died in the House, but interestingly enough, it got the endorsement of the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. Then at the state level, there is action at the local level and in the state legislature. Senate Bill 389 would give cities and towns in Massachusetts the option to lower the age to 16 for local elections.
And that's in conference committee, as I understand it now, right?
Yes, there is a joint House-Senate electoral reform committee that is considering the bill, and it's got some pretty high-profile sponsors. Harriet Chandler, the Senate President Emerita, Joe Comerford, our senator in Western Massachusetts, and it's under discussion. And then from the local end, we have local governments that are talking about this as well.
Holyoke, Northampton.
That's right. Northampton's looking at amending its charter, and one of the changes would be allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in local elections.
And civics has been on the mind of our lawmakers, too. We've had Senator Eric Lesser in to talk about that, and former State Representative Solomon Goldstein Rose, and they helped to get the civics bill passed that was approved by the state last year. So lots of things being talked about around this. Let's look at some of the numbers that you found in your poll. So it was a telephone survey of about 495 adults, and by a 2-to-1 margin, your survey reported that respondents said no to 16 and 17-year-olds voting in national elections.
That's right.
Did you expect that wide a margin?
It wasn't entirely a surprise. This issue has been polled nationally a couple of times in the last 8 months, and in each case, about 75–80% have opposed lowering the voting age to 16. So to the extent that it's somewhat less lopsided, but still lopsided in Massachusetts, it seems consistent given the political makeup of our state.
And what did you hear for some of the reasons as to why they oppose?
Oh, it was fascinating. The top reason was young voters, 16 and 17, just aren't mature enough to cast an informed vote. Also, they're not knowledgeable enough. There was also a concern that at that age they might succumb to pressure from their peers, from their parents, from their teachers. So those were some of the arguments. Again, some for were that they are mature enough, they are knowledgeable enough. And this is an interesting one that we know about in political science, but I was surprised that the public can articulate this as well because it's pretty inside baseball. The earlier you cast your first vote, the younger you are, the more likely you are to have that as a lifelong habit. And a fair number of people said that as well.
So give students or give young people the opportunity so they can develop that habit,
That's right.
Which would get to another problem we have here in this country, which is abysmal voter turnout.
That's right, especially at local elections. We'll see 10, 15, 25% turnout in preliminary elections, and then not much higher than that in a general when it's not a presidential election year or a midterm congressional year. So we might see turnout go up. There's also an interesting dynamic that can occur, a trickle-up effect. If young people are engaged, sometimes they can influence their parents to get involved if their parents aren't involved already. So there is that side benefit as well.
Interesting to hear people opposed to this idea of 16 and 17-year-olds voting in national elections report to you that they're not engaged enough, they're not interested enough, given we've seen protests across the country related to climate, gun violence, other things, women's rights.
And I think that also is a motivating factor for the lawmakers. It certainly was for Congresswoman Presley. The leadership of young people on gun control protests last year, the leadership on climate change protests this year, and now even more recently, the leadership of young people in pushing back against further restrictions on abortion in some states. It's clear, although it may not be widespread, that there is a significant number of young people in high school who are interested, who are engaged, who might just take advantage of this opportunity if it were given to them.
When you looked at when you switch from the national outlook to the local outlook, slightly different results. 52% of people said they'd be opposed to 16 and 17-year-olds voting, and 42% said they supported it. So difference there when you go take a closer look at local.
That's right, and we even saw some majority support within some of the subgroups. So majority of Democrats support extending the vote for local elections. Young people, 18 to 39, about 60% of them supported having that opportunity as well. We didn't have a follow-up as to why people would support or oppose giving the power to cities and towns. But my speculation is, one, it could be that some local issues affect teens directly, such as funding for public schools, or two, that people generally are not ready to make a sweeping change in the voting age nationally, but they might be willing to have communities experiment with it locally. And that has been in the case. In Maryland, Tacoma Park, Maryland, dropped the voting age to 16 for local elections back in 2013. Hyattsville, Maryland followed suit 2 years later. So there is some precedent, and there's even more in Europe and South America. So in Europe, Austria, Germany have lowered the voting age for some elections. Scotland lowered it to 16 for the referendum in 2014 and for elections to the Scottish Parliament. Brazil has lowered the voting age as well. So we see some experience with it overseas also.
And in those communities that you referenced in Maryland, perhaps a few years from now, you might see national lawmakers point to those communities to say, like, this is a good idea, maybe not a good idea. It could be a little case study to be used.
It could. The one thing we don't know is what the turnout rate is among 16 and 17-year-olds, because you need exit polling for that. And there hasn't been an exit poll, to my knowledge, in an election where folks that young were casting ballots, at least not yet.
You also asked the respondents about civic engagement. Interesting there was more support for adults saying, yes, these students should be civic-minded, they should be involved, they should be engaged.
Sure. Yeah.
Difference there.
Well, this was a fascinating thing. We asked about the recent walkouts from high school classes over climate change, and more than 2/3 of the survey respondents said they supported that idea, which that did surprise me. Then even further, we asked, what about requiring community service for graduation from high school? More than 70% of respondents said, yeah, we think it's a good idea. 91% of parents of 13 to 18-year-olds said, yeah, sure, we think this is a good idea. So there is support for civic engagement for 16 and 17-year-olds. It's just that the public here in Massachusetts isn't ready to go that extra step quite yet of including the vote in that civic engagement.